Hello, Stefania.
Hello, Zanetta. How are you?
I am wonderful. Welcome.
To Fun Fresh Fridays. Woo!
Yay!
It's so nice to be back.
Yes, welcome
I
back.
missed you. I missed
I
you.
missed you too.
And everybody else out there, I missed everyone else as well. And it's good to be
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yes, they did miss you. They did
back.
because when they didn't know that when they didn't know you were gone for the first week, the Friday, they were chiming in. The second Friday, nobody chimed in because you were gone.
Oh, oh. You can still chime in even if I'm gone. Everybody.
Right. Right.
Excuse me. But as you know, I'm actually not at home still. I'm still up north in Queensland, sunny Queensland. It's
Oh.
been wonderful. Yeah. We went to Noosa, put some photos up. I know that I shared some photos. And it's been really nice to just relax. And
Mm.
as they say, do nothing, but just catch up with yourself, having me time. Excuse me.
Mhm.
I've had a head cold. I haven't had any
Oh.
virus or anything. It's just been a total when they say that after you've been really busy and somewhat stressed and overwhelmed,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
you just stop, what happens? Your body just totally just um, either catches up on catching a
Right.
cold or you know
Yeah.
getting tired all of a sudden. So I think that that's what's happened. When the minute you stop, your immune system kicks in and says, hey, we need to recover here, so we're going to make you stop.
Yes. That is so true. Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. But I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to talk about the topic that we have
Yes.
planned together. And I think it's a topic which is dear to many people's hearts,
Mhm.
dare I say. I know it is with me, and yourself too, Zanetta. Would I be
Yes.
right in saying that? And
Yes.
you know, when we do have families that we feel that they have a hold on us. I mean, nobody really, has a hold on us unless we allow them, but it feels like we can't move. It feels like we have no options. It feels like
Mhm.
every experience is being controlled by
Right.
external, situations or
Mhm.
people. Maybe. So, in today's discussion, we're going to be talking about that, aren't we? And how it affects us emotionally and our well being, affects other relationships in our lives,
Mhm.
possibly even career choices, because, this doesn't just happen as adults, it also, begins way back as
Right.
children.
Right.
And I think that definitely has an impact on the way we respond, the way we behave, and the
Mhm.
way we make our decisions from there on,
Yeah.
until we kind of like, I say, wake up and realize that, hey, I do have an option. Hey, I do have choices, and it doesn't have to be like this anymore.
Mhm.
And as you know, in the process, it can ruffle a few feathers
Yes. In the process.
as
Yes.
as we do that. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about. So
Yes. Yeah.
if the audience is out there listening, please,
Chime in. Hello.
we haven't done shout outs. So I thought, Zanetta, do you have a shout out to
I
anybody?
I do. I do have a shout out. I do have a shout out to Anitra Davis. She has been such a tremendous support um, in our show, and she gives a lot of feedback,
Mm,
which I do take to heart, and that's why we have evolved a little bit, because of the feedback. And I also wanted to do a plug.
Thank
I
you.
have Stefania's book, Master the Language of Attraction. I'm telling you, this is really good for those of you single men. You have some juicy points. You are
To
tapping into the mind of a woman. You are getting some inside intel from a woman. So yeah, it's really good. It's a very easy read, but it is packed with juicy content and advice that is really good for you. So
Yes, yes,
there's
and
my
I think
plug.
thank you, Zanetta.
Of
Thank you.
course.
And I just want to add to that. It's even got a few pointers there, I think, for even men that are in relationships.
Yeah.
Because some of those points are so fundamental that sometimes they're forgotten when we're in a relationship for a extended period of time. So
Yeah.
I always say, don't forget those important principles that you were so focused on when dating in the beginning, when trying to get your woman and trying to attract
Mhm.
her. We always want to keep her mysteriously thinking.
Yes. Interested.
Thank you so much, Zanetta.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and I have a shout out to my dear Oksana.
Yes. Hello, Oksana, if you were watching.
Yes, yes, she's a very keen follower, and she just absolutely adores Zanetta, which is great. And yeah, she just thinks that the show's amazing, and pretty much every topic that we come up with um, really like zones in on her, and I'm sure it does on a lot of people out there. So
Yeah.
don't be shy in letting us know. And if it doesn't either, because there's things that
Yeah.
maybe we weren't tapping
Feedback.
into, and we would like to know a little bit, more about what you'd like to hear. So we're definitely here for that. So let us begin, Zanetta.
Yes. Yes.
How does
Yes.
family have a hold on us? Tell me, do you feel that, you know, that family does have a hold on us? Do we kind of conceptualize the fact that we have no control? And what are your experiences? Let's get into some juicy experiences
Yeah.
first.
Well, first, I would say it has everything. Well, for me, it has everything to do with culture, cultural upbringing. In the Philippines, seriously, if I didn't leave, I would probably be. It's common. It is very common for Asian women to not leave the home until they're almost 40.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah, it's very common. And sometimes they don't leave. They stay with their husbands or their children, and it's common. So it has a lot to do with cultural. I know that Filipinos are very tight knit when it comes to family. Um, but there, of course, when there's good side or good stuff to the tight knit family, there's also some bad, cultural um, things that the family have. They're very silent when it comes to any abuse. They turn a blind eye for any type of abuse. You don't talk about it. It's hush hush.
Mm.
It stays in the home, kind of thing. So, um, and then when you leave that environment, I remember talking to my sister and I said, I just knew I had to leave. I just knew I had to leave. But when I left, even though I had that freedom, I was still in prison.
In the mind.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And why do you think that's so? Like, because that's really a very interesting topic, and I think that's like the larger scale of what we're going to be talking about, I think,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Well, I think it's because, I was molded in it. Even though I didn't agree with a whole bunch of stuff of the family,
Mm,
I was still taking on the characteristic. And
mm.
unbeknownst to me, that is the saddest part. The saddest part that I didn't know. I didn't know that I had that mentality as well. Oh, you don't say anything. You shh, hush, hush. This is, um, and when you're being abused, or when you're being hurt, or when you're being mentally, physically, and emotionally abused, and when you go out there, when you go outside this four walls called home, you
Mm,
put on that face. You
yeah,
don't show anything. You put on that, oh, this is a family of loving. And yeah, I carried that with me.
yeah,
So,
and that definitely has a psychological, emotional, and physical impact on you,
mm-hmm,
decision making. Now, that's a really interesting topic, and I know we're going to move on to others, but the
mm-hmm,
cultural thing, and I think you share about your Filipino, cultural experience. I've got my Italian, and then the hardest part too is when you're living in that cultural family, and then you've got to step out and you've got to live another life.
another cultural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what happened with me. I think I know that you're in the Philippines and then you moved into the US, but you kind of broke totally away and you didn't have that influence, but of course it was still in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you're living in it and then you're actually, stepping out of the family home just for an hour or two or whatever, and then you're coming back, it's this double take that I feel
Yeah.
that we have to do. And it is hard. And I think what happens is we don't want to disappoint anybody. We
Mm-hmm.
try to find, where we fit in, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I found I struggled with, was where do I fit in? And unfortunately, sometimes families can have that hold. And I know in some extreme cases where they're totally, what's the word, denied from their family, like disowned from their families.
Mm-hmm.
You do this, or you marry him, or you are going to be totally cut off the family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that, often, that can also mean cut off from the family will, because, money has that kind of power on
Yes.
people. And it's traumatic. It is really traumatic, because then you're struggling with where you belong and where you fit
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yeah. And sometimes they put a pressure on you that you owe them.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
know, oh, you owe us. You're obligated to, send money to, send whoever to school. I know a lot of my friends, um, they have that same culture,
Mm.
that they're sending their little siblings to school, for them to go to college, or whatever it is, or sending money to mom, dad, um, and it makes you think, like, if you don't do it, you'll feel guilty. You know, there's that guilt factor.
Exactly. And that's what eats us up. That's
Yes.
really the hardest part, that really eats us up.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's where we start either questioning, reasoning, start, using our critical mind to kind of siphon through what we need to do. Or
Mm-hmm.
the decision is we just sit in it and just
Yeah.
soak it up and suffer, because that's what ultimately we're doing, really. We're still living in that pain. But there's other controlling
Mm-hmm.
as a family, and that's one, as a sibling, as a young child in a family with either your parents or your guardians that uh, assisting you through your growth. But then there's also relationships. There's also siblings. Let's not forget the siblings. Let's move
Right.
over from the parents to the siblings now.
Yes.
And particularly if you're one of the younger siblings, or I speak from my own experience, right? As a younger sibling, there's just so much we have to look up to, and you know not compare, but we're challenged because the older ones, the older brothers or sisters, somewhat sometimes, or we interpret our internal representation is their favorite
Mm-hmm.
more, they get the better choices, everything. We get the hand-me-downs. We get, I got a lot of those. I never, I never got an, a new bike. I always got the secondhand
Oh.
hand-me-downs of bikes. But okay, and then in my teens, like my mid-teens, I got a new bike because I think I just like I want a new bike. I want a new bike. But yeah, things like that. That's really got a lot to do with the controlling. Who do we have here? We
We have
have
Pierre.
hello, Pierre. So good to see you, Pierre. #live. Thank you. Thank you for your support. So, did you find that? I know, Zanetta, you come from a nice large family.
Yes.
And I think what was more impactful for you, because prior to you, I think, was it seven children?
7.
Seven
Yeah.
children before you, they were all males.
Males.
Oh, no. And then they get the golden daughter, right?
Yes. Yes. As I claim to be. Until my sister came.
Uh-huh. All right.
So then I tortured her.
Uh,
Yes. And she can come on here and she'll tell you, yes, she did. She tortured me. Yes, I did. I tortured her because she dethroned me because I was the first girl.
right.
All my brothers, were just excited to have a girl. My mom, my dad, they were just excited to have a girl. So, yeah, but I know what you mean because as I grew older, it was like I'm vying for attention, vying for this, approval, vying for, I'm different, hello. I'm not one of the boys, kind of thing. So yeah, there's those different dynamics in the treatment.
Mm,
Maybe now that I'm older, I could say, well, because I was the first girl, nobody knew how to. Nobody knew. They didn't.
mm,
I'm the first. Yeah.
right.
So
How to handle a female, I
yeah.
guess, in the family, apart from your mother and everything. Yeah, but she was
Right.
looked at as a mother, not as a daughter or a child of the family. So, did you have this this challenge between your brothers or some particular brothers? I'm not sure whether all of them or some in particular, where I don't know, you're fighting for just your own identity or just being, and they or you felt they had a control over you because you had to, I don't know, conform in a certain way, because that's often what can happen too, right? I mean, that we're
Um.
dealing with 7 brothers. We're not dealing with 1. I mean, I could say 1 brother, and I
Yeah.
may make up for 10,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I say it
Well,
in a loving way.
I don't. I don't think I did. I know my two older brothers. I was. I felt like I was their favorite.
Your
Um.
older brothers, your 2
Yeah.
older
My
brothers,
my
okay?
two older brothers. I felt
Mm,
like I was their favorite.
mm,
Because my our oldest brother terrorized my younger brothers. I mean, the younger brothers, my older brothers. He
mhm,
terrorized them, but I always got he would come home and buy, and I would have earrings. I would have, he would always have a gift for me. And yeah, I never had that feeling about my brothers. I guess because I was in my own little world. Yeah, I
mm,
kind of grew up just a little bit different. And then there were so many of us, and the age gap was really, um, it showed that there was a huge age gap, with my older brothers, um, and they were doing their own thing.
right. So they were more like uncles maybe, or even dads, the age group, was they?
No, because let me see. Not really. I think they were just too busy on their own,
Right.
trying to, yeah, yeah. I just never did. My sister now, that's a total different story.
Yeah. Tell us about your sister, because then you were thrown off
Yeah,
the throne, remember?
yes, that's a total different story. So my sister is 7 years younger than me.
Oh,
So I
wow.
had 7 years of, just me. And then my sister came. Then all of a sudden, the attention went to her. You know, and then I think I resented um, the treatment of my mother towards my sister because she was treated more like a daughter than I was. Yeah.
And how was that? How did you how did you come to that conclusion?
Well, my dad taught me everything. You know, the monthly period, boys. Um, I mean, everything. He would. My mom wouldn't really talk to me about certain things. We never really had that conversation.
Mm,
Um, yeah.
interesting. And whereas with your sister, your mum was there for her?
Oh
Your
yeah.
mother? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So
So,
that's quite
so she
interesting.
was tortured.
Right. So even see, that's interesting because behavioral, being controlled, or someone having a hold on us
Hmm.
can be many different ways,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I wanted to actually talk about, that it doesn't only have to be physical, or it doesn't only have to be mental. It's, there's a different hold and there's actually three particularly, and we have the three different types of, control, I guess you'd call it,
Hmm.
or hold on. And we have behavioral control,
Hmm.
behavior,
Yeah.
hold on someone in a behavioral way, psychologically. So, words that are spoken, how we're made to feel guilty or shame or insecure, all
Hmm.
these. And then also just over, in this case, as parents, over parenting or over manipulating, to have that person, whether it be your parents, or whether it be your spouse, or whether it be a sibling, this wanting to create the dynamics, the scenario, having create what they want
Right.
through you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when it comes to parents, sometimes that can happen where our parents have missed out on something for whatever reason, or
Hmm.
stardom, education, being a good sportsmanship or whatever. And this is their child. They use their child to
Yeah.
live their dream. And it doesn't just happen with parents. I don't think it can actually happen with siblings as well,
Hmm.
or with anyone, because you may see that gift in that person that they're not even aware of, or not ready for it, and
Right.
they can feel pushed into. I know that that's what kind of happened to me. And I couldn't see it, and I was fighting it. And I'm one of these people, if you try and push me into a corner, I just rebel. And yeah, it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us. And this is what forms the trauma and sits very nicely in our subconscious mind, or in our cellular memory,
Yeah.
in our
Yeah.
body. It can actually
Hmm.
manifest
Hmm.
into that, to the fact where I know with myself, my voice, where I was told that my voice wasn't good enough, and my voice,
Mm.
um, yeah, no one would listen to my voice. And that kind of hung on for so long that it did actually have an effect on me for such a long
Yeah.
period of time,
Mm. Yeah.
until I
Yeah.
realized that, hey, it's not like that. I control, and I call the shots, and I know who I am, and working on myself, obviously. But that can have that trauma. We carry that with
Hmm.
us. We carry that. Oh, we've got some messages here,
Oh
haven't we?
no. No. No.
Oh, are they? Oh, those messages.
Yes, I already blocked it.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Why do we get that? We just attract.
Yes.
And yeah, so let's talk about, what about relationships where we feel we have, our spouse, our partner
Yeah.
has a hold on us and the effects of that as well.
Oh, yeah. I know in the Philippines, sometimes the parents chooses your spouse.
Hmm.
So that was one of the reasons why I left. Because I was about to be betrothed. Um, and I was like, yeah, no.
At the
Um,
tender age of,
I think I had turned 17, 18. It was 18, maybe 19.
mm,
Yeah. Um, yeah.
wow, that is young.
So I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go to the nearest military base and
Right. So that was in the Philippines, wasn't it? So that's
Mhm.
when you decided to leave the Philippines for the US, correct?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
join
The
the army.
fastest way was to join the
Wow.
military. Yeah, that was the fastest way. So, but then as I look back, I
Mm,
started choosing these losers
mm,
because because of the what male or what status that my parents wanted me to be with. So I started choosing
bad boys.
bad boys. Yeah, bad boys.
So thinking back, why do you think you were attracted to these bad boys?
Oh, because it was something that I could choose. It was rebellious, you
Mm,
know. If mom can see me now, kind of thing. That kind of thing. Yeah, but it didn't serve me any. Yeah, didn't do me any good. But I learned a lot.
mm,
I'm not going to say that all the relationships were, bad.
mm,
There was a lot of learning, a lot of, um, you know, where do I want to see myself? Where is my life going? Oh, I can't. I cannot marry this one. you know. So yeah, it taught me a lot. So I think that's what it is. It's a rebellious streak that we have.
mm, mm,
um, the very things that your parents want for you, you don't want. So you go the
mm,
total opposite. And
mm.
then we get to the point. Have you ever gone to the point of, man, I'm starting to sound like my mom?
Yes. And that's what you came to that point?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to sound like my mother.
Right. So isn't that interesting? Because that was going to be my next thing, where the question is like, did you find that you were attracting those personality types, even though you were running from like your parents or running from that kind of behavior, we were still falling into that. We were still attracting those type of people in our lives, just
Hmm.
in a different form, different person,
Right. Right.
and where they want to have a control on us.
Mm, I think so.
Because that's what happened to me. I found that I was still attracting people in my life, attracting men, particularly in my life, where they wanted to control me. And
Hmm.
it's not now. I'm not wanting to sound like, oh, I don't want anyone telling me what to do, but there's a way. There's a way that
Yeah.
suggestions and communication. Because to me, it just sounded more like commando style. It's this or nothing. And that's
Yeah.
where we feel trapped, I think. And when we're feeling trapped like that, that's what brings on and triggers you to remember all the other events, particularly as a child.
Yeah, I think telling you what to do and controlling you is two total different things.
Hmm.
You know, yeah, they're two total different things. There's the there's the subtleness of, making you feel like you're not enough, or you're not good enough, or um, you're not putting forth 100, and making you feel like that, and so therefore, you have to do what they say, kind of thing. You're not making money, you're not making enough money, or you're not smart enough, so you can't. So those are little subtle things that men would say to women, to get that mentality of, oh, I can't make it on my own. So now you feel trapped. Now they're the one who's going to be like what you said, commanding. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm the one who's paying the bills. I'm the one who's doing this. I'm the one, so therefore you're going to do this. Yeah.
Right. So you're saying that's controlling? You're saying
Oh,
that's controlling?
yes.
Yeah. Right. And then telling you what to do.
Telling you what to do. I mean, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Um, that's. I don't think that's controlling, because Jeff tells me, um, you know, well, you should do this. I don't take it as controlling. I just take it as, oh, okay, that's a feedback, that, kind of thing. I think your strength lies here. Why don't you do that? You know,
Mm.
so that's totally different. But usually, men that control, they tell you, don't do,
Mm.
don't get an education. You don't need a job. You don't need friends. You don't need, try to isolate you.
Mm. That's a really that's a really good point, and I think that's really important to define the two,
Hmm.
isn't it? Because sometimes we can get confused. Our internal representation of someone telling us and someone controlling us can be meshed together. And whenever someone tells you something, and we can say, call it telling, we can call it suggesting, we can call it inspiring, it's still
Hmm.
someone voicing their opinion, right?
Right.
So it doesn't mean they're controlling you.
No.
They're trying to control you. So that's a really, really valid point. I'm really glad you brought that up, Zanetta,
Yeah.
because I, through experience and speaking to people, and them sharing their experiences, you can get that mesh together. Now, let's go a little deeper with this.
Go ahead. Let's dive deep.
Dive deep. um, this this internal representation of control, that
Hmm.
everybody wants to control us, or everybody wants to control me, or I feel that something that's said is automatically you go to that controlling, you know, um, internal representation. What happens there? Like that's pretty. It's pretty hard on yourself, and it's not living a very happy life, is it?
Yeah, yeah. I think it stems back from, and this is just me. This is when you're raised and you're indecisive. You don't know. You can't make up your mind. Um, you don't know what courses to take for college, and you don't know. Well, I don't know if I should go or not. Maybe you're very indecisive with a whole bunch of stuff. And then when you finally decide and then you get hurt, then it becomes, it turns it kind of like kicks it up, a whole lot. I mean, it just puts it on fire kind of thing. And then that becomes, oh, I'm not going to be controlled anymore. It
Mm,
becomes like that, because in the beginning you were indecisive, and then when you finally made up your mind and it was the wrong choice,
mm.
it can be attributed to, I'm being controlled.
Right, right. Yeah, that's really interesting because therefore, just recapping, you're saying that, you know, that all this is because of past events, triggers that are being, triggered in us constantly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
constantly. So, what would you say would be you know, a way to help yourself in dealing with this? Because, it can be quite self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
Sometimes what can happen, and I know, and I've experienced this, is we can then become controlling, unbeknown to us, because if we're seeing it in someone else, it's obviously reflecting and triggering us. But then, we have to take a step back and say, well, what is it in me that's triggering this? And where do I need to heal this area in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
In, am I controlling? Do I? And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? Because no one
Yeah.
wants to be controlling, or no one wants to be identified as a controller.
Right. Right. Or have a hold on someone, or hold something against someone and just keep that dangling over their head. I mean, come on. We are no longer four. We're no longer 4 years old. We are over 50, and you're still dangling this over my head. When you gonna grow up? I mean, really, grow up, kind of thing. So, how do you combat that? How do you get yourself? How do you help yourself? That's what you said. How do
Mm,
you help yourself? And that's it. You need to know yourself.
mm.
You really need to know yourself. Um, People do not really understand, and I hope that the viewers listen to this, and I hope they will listen all the way to uh, you know 37 minutes. It is this trauma, adversity, tribulations, all of these things come to be able for you yourself to understand who you are.
Drop the mic.
I'm going to repeat it: trauma,
Please, please.
adversity, issues, problems, however you want to label it. It comes to show you who you really are. It shows you what you are made of. It shows you how much of a strength you have inside. It shows how much of a courage you have inside. It shows it. It it pushes you. It pushes you. All of that pushes you to that um, to that pivot of point of view. The pivot of point of view. All these issues. I'm just tired of being I'm tired of just being abused. I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of. Why don't you take a look at what you have endured? What you have endured. What makes you get up in the morning? What keeps you going? It's
Mm,
that what's inside of you. Because that trauma shows you that you are unbreakable. That's it. That I just can't express that or say that enough. it
mm.
it shows us who we are, so get to know yourself.
Right. And Jack Locke says, boom.
Boom shakalaka.
It's so true. So true, Jack. Yes. I'm glad that, you're sharing that. And please share anything else that you want to with us. But you're definitely, I couldn't agree more, Zanetta. In the Bible, know thyself, love thyself. In order
Yes.
to know others and be able to understand others. And because I think what happens, unfortunately, and this is just the way society is kind of like conditioning us. And that's why I think we so have to be, conscious of what's happening around us, that the external world, is conditioning us. So we can
Hmm.
fall very easy, we can fall
Easy.
prey very easy to that we're no longer looking internally. We're no longer tapping in our own resources and light and life force that we have, and we're looking externally, and that
Yes.
is not the way. Now, I know that's like, I'm saying it's not the way, but because we've got it all in us. And this is really funny, and being away for the last couple of weeks has been amazing for me, because I've actually, I feel so blessed and grateful to be here with, my girlfriend and her family,
Hmm.
and they've given me the space, and we've done lots of beautiful things together. And then I've had that time alone to really dive deep within myself.
Yeah.
And it's really that simple. It's really that simple to know thyself. Really tap in and ask yourself those questions, because when you ask the right questions, you're going to get the answers. You're going to get the answers you're looking for, because the questions are right. You're
Yes.
you're really intentional with what you want to know. And there's growth in that. And there's growth
Yeah.
in, the trauma. There's growth in the experiences. There's growth in the pain. There's growth in all that, which I'm reading this book that my girlfriend shared with me. It's in the other room, but it's Dolores. I think it's Dolores Cannon. I think her surname is. She's an amazing hypnotherapist.
Hmm.
And she talks a lot about this, and how we just have to go deep within, that it's all
Hmm.
there. It's all there,
Yeah.
all of it.
All of it.
And,
Yeah.
and we are powerful, powerful beings.
Yes. Yes. And if you take a look at any precious metal,
Mm,
anything,
mm.
and the most hardest is the diamond, but it takes a volcanic eruption for a diamond to come forth.
Wow. I
So,
I love the analogy. I love yeah,
yeah.
that means we have to really erupt. We have to really
Yes.
explode.
Because of that
Yeah.
pressure within us, like what you said, when you're put in the corner, you said that when you're placed in a corner, you rebel. Actually, the real terminology of that, Stefania, is you're being pressured to actually stand up on your own. You
Mm.
are no longer put me in a corner. I'm now going to speak up. I was listening to a recording that I did of of my brother. He secretly watches our show.
Oh,
Yeah, he
no,
secretly
brother.
watches.
But we don't know that. We don't know.
Of course I do because he mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Uh,
You mean
so now he's gonna know that I recorded our conversation.
oh.
So anyway, so he said, "Oh, so we were having kind of a disagreement, and he said, "Oh, listen at you. You know how to talk now." Just because you have your own TV show, your own live, your own this, you now know how to talk. I was like, what?
Mm,
I was like, no,
mm,
I have always been like this. And I told him that. I said, I have always been like this. I just chose not to talk. But
mm.
now I'm choosing to talk. Yeah. So he was, but anyway, yes. If we can get to the point of I'm now choosing to do this, I'm now choosing to make my own decisions and not, what mom wants, what dad wants, what my sibling expects me to do. Once we get to that decision, no, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do, the quicker we'll have that, shed that family control, that family, that which that those voices that are going in our head.
Definitely. And that we call that they've got a hold on us, like you
Yeah.
hear that expression, I can't, I just can't, I can't do this. I can't, it's, I keep hearing that voice, or that guilt comes through, that shame. And I think I want to extend this, how family has a hold on us, a little
Mhm.
bit further. Yeah, because we're touching on different areas, right?
Yeah.
And I think too, and this is what I hear and experience through my, therapy and coaching that I do with clients, and particularly men, because I work with the men,
Mhm.
where they may be in a family situation, and often possibly a dysfunctional family situation, and their spouse or their children have a hold on them in the sense that, they're in a dysfunctional family. They're in a situation that they can't, they have to be the father, they have to be the husband, they have to present themselves as a certain, personality, because the happy
Mhm.
family, everybody sees them as the happy family. And yet, whether it be the, he or she, they're not happy. But yet the family dynamic of being, husband and wife and the children and the extended family, because, mothers and father-in-laws and mother-in-laws or whatever, they they've got this psychological hold on them that they can't choose, that they can't step out of that dysfunctional family because it's going to upset everybody.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm not by all means encouraging divorce or separation and all that here,
Right.
right? But in some cases, it's so dysfunctional that it's actually, you know, not serving your family at all, and it's not serving yourself. It's actually, you know, creating more dysfunction, more trauma, more, um, you know, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I,
poison through the family. It's just it's really difficult.
yeah. A good friend of mine, because I hung out with older women, older couples, because I wanted to hear their wisdom, um, and when they were up in age. I mean, up in age, and
Mm,
when the husband passed away, I was talking to the wife, and I was like, "I'm so sorry," and she just took a deep breath and let it out, and she was like, "I can finally breathe." That
mm.
was like,
What?
what? Right? Yeah, it, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. So when she started talking to me, she said, "Honey, let me tell you something." She said, "You need to think about your happiness." And I was like, "Wow." And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, "You've been married for over 50 plus years, and you're just finally breathing?" Yeah, I'm not gonna put myself in that category.
No.
Not no.
And that's what happens. People choose to do that. And we all have a choice for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And there may be a lesson to be learned. There may be experiences that every individual has to go through. But it's certainly a very painful way. And, when we then look externally and not take responsibility, that's can be also um,
Mm-hmm.
not serving you, where we then cast blame that it's the other person, that's making me do this, making me feel like this. And in actual fact, it's not.
No, you're allowing,
Yes,
giving permission.
correct. So when we say, why does our family have a hold on us?
Allowing,
Right.
giving
Why?
permission.
We have to look within ourselves
Hmm.
and say, well, yeah, it's me. I'm giving them permission,
Yes.
and swallow that one. Like, and say, you've got to really take responsibility.
Yeah.
And once you do that, that can be so freeing.
Yes.
And not after 50 years of being married or 60 years or when that other half passes away.
Yeah.
Not good. I don't think, because you're putting yourself through all that
Hmm.
unnecessarily. And, it doesn't mean, as I said, doesn't mean going out and getting separated or divorced. It's even,
Right.
working on that relationship,
Hmm.
working on yourself to influence your partner, because working on yourself is a great start,
Yeah.
because it'll certainly shine through. And if it doesn't, well, that's okay too, but you have started something within yourself, I think.
Yeah.
um, get the chains off, remove the mental chains, remove the psychological, the physical chains that we manifest to
Hmm.
feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even and just being with relationship, but also, I know the culture in the Philippines is that, uh, your path of education, usually Filipinos are either in the medical field or in the engineering field.
Mm,
Yeah,
really?
yes, it's it's expected, because, as a doctor or as a nurse or in the medical field, you make a lot of money, so you will help the family, raise out of poverty. So you'll have some. I watch a lot of, not a lot. I watch reality shows like, America's Got Talent, The Voice, or, the cooking channel, and or the, where they make these elaborate gowns out of materials that are given to them, or the makeup, and some of them are Filipinos, and
Wow.
they will say, I just want to make my family proud because this is a path that is not expected for us to go.
Mm.
Yeah.
So they're pursuing their dream and wanting to, show their families that, hey, they can do it and that their choices. Yeah, because there's, as we know, when there's passion behind anything that we do, it will blossom, it will manifest into something amazing. It's, yeah, and we can get stuck, because that's another thing, where families will say, no, don't do that. That's not good for you.
Right.
And we've heard, even with actors and actresses or singers, you
Mm-hmm.
want an education. You
Right.
can't sing, or you can't do this. You need to get an education, you need to go to university and then think about
Yep.
doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a cousin actually in Italy that experienced just that, and she was amazing on stage. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she did theaters, in the village, and she was the star of the show in every theatrical, show that she went in. And a family, my uncles, my uncle and auntie, just really pushed her into going to university. And it took her years. Like, the subjects she was studying should have taken her a quarter of the time. It took her ages because she just didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's probably mid 20s now, and it's It's not too late, but still, that prime, those younger years where she could have really um, made it big a lot earlier. Yeah, she's probably might have to work harder as she gets older if she still wants to pursue that. So
Mhm.
it does definitely have an impact, and that's where we have to be strong and really live our passion, live our whatever it is that we desire and want in our lives.
Right.
So, yes, well, this has been a really interesting topic, because the impact that this has in our lives, okay? I just want to go a little bit deeper and say that, it creates anxiety, creates depression, because,
Mhm.
some of us don't express it, we suppress into it, and we
Mhm.
go into depression. We can become emotionally insecure because we have all these, you know, um, voices or beliefs, what we've
Right.
picked up along the way. We can become aggressive
Mhm. Mhm.
because, oh, I can never get what I want. And you just have
Right.
these aggressive outbursts, and that people think, well, what? I didn't even say anything. Why is this person reacting the way they're reacting so quickly? So, you know, because it's not that situation that they're really reacting to. They're really reacting to the chain of events that have happened in their lives, that
Mhm.
they're
Mhm.
reacting to. Yeah, so there's, turning to alcohol, turning to drugs,
Right.
having some kind of addiction, having that negative self-concept, the failure, I'll never get ahead, I'll never be that person that, my parents want me to be. Or even developing, that real low self-esteem and manipulative coping skills, to get what
Mhm.
you want as well. So it can go really deep as into can, um, what will transpire from it. But I think what's really important is to know that we have choice, right? This is what
Yes.
we really want to drive home and bring home to everyone, that we do have choice,
Yes.
and we just have to go within,
Yeah.
sit with yourself, sit still. And that was another thing I was challenged with coming away, sitting still with
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, isn't that a challenge? Let me know, anyone out there. Zanetta, tell me, do you find that a challenge to
Uh
sit still with yourself? And really,
yeah.
I mean, I'm talking just not doing anything. You can sit still and be with yourself, but you might be on your phone, you might be reading, or you might be thinking, but just sitting still, where you just, I guess, let God speak to you.
Yeah. I did. I found it difficult at first. But I was reading this book, and I don't know if you've read it, but it's by Robin Sharma. It's called the monk who sold his Ferrari,
Yeah.
and it's a really great read. Um, and it gives you tips as to how to sit with yourself. Just focus. So I tried it. I did not last not even 2 minutes.
Wow. What was the exercise, Zanetta? Do you want to share?
The exercise is to focus on one thing. The book, he focused on the rose, on the center of the rose. But you can do anything. You can focus on, um, a spot on the wall, on the ceiling. Just keep your focus on that, and don't allow your thinking to wander.
Mm,
Just keep your focus on that. And, you know, as soon as I looked at that, because it was a spot on the wall, so I was just staring at it, and I started thinking, why is that spot on there? I need to clean it. Well, maybe that's an insect. So then I caught myself and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be focusing. So I focused again, and I'm like, and then I'll start thinking about, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. I need to stop right now because, I have this case, that case, and I have to call this person. And my brain just started to drift off. And in the book, it tells you it will do that. And
Oh,
then when you realize it, bring your focus back. Bring it
mm,
back. Yeah, it was hard, but now
easy.
easy peasy.
Right. Exactly. So like anything, it needs to be practiced, right? It just,
Yes.
to create a new skill, to
Yes.
create a new behavioral pattern needs repetition because that's how
Yes.
the brain learns by repetition, repetition, repetition. I mean, like a muscle. If you want a muscle to grow, you're going to, if you want that bicep to grow, you need to keep doing those bicep curls over and over and over again. So
Yes.
yes, that is the secret. Repetition. It's not a secret. It's just very easy. But we seem to complicate things and think we need to do these fancy tricks to
Yeah,
actually.
no. No, it isn't. Um, and here's a good example, a very good example. I was watching what Amazing Race, and Amazing Race is a competition. It's a live, I mean, it's a reality show, but it's a
Mm.
competition where you can travel from different countries, and they have different pit stops that you have to attain. And in each country, you have to do what they're really good at. I mean,
Oh.
really good. So they went to London.
Mm.
London, come to find out, you can't just be a cabbie. No, you have to learn each and every street. The street name, how many stops, where, I mean, I was like, whoa.
Like a full-on degree to be a cabbie.
Yes, I mean, they had this
Driver.
intense training.
Mm.
They
Yeah,
had this in
I heard that too when I was in London. I kind of
yeah,
like found it hard to believe, but yeah, it's quite.
no, it was. Uh, so when they're doing this training, they're training their brain, all of these places, all of these, landmarks, so then it becomes second nature.
Mm.
They no longer have to say, okay, after this, this cathedral, then at no, they already know it by nature. They know it right away. I mean, it was crazy. So it's just like what you said. It's like a muscle. What is our brain? Our brain is a muscle. And if you don't train it, if you don't exercise it, it's gonna be mush.
Yes. You don't use it, you lose it, right?
Yes. You don't use it, you lose it.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes, yes. Wonderful. Well, I think that sort of comes to wrapping up our conversation, doesn't it? So now, is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to add to that?
No, I think just being free is, I think that's what we're trying to, trying to have the audience and ourselves and those that are struggling to understand that, when you know yourself, when you're comfortable with who you are, and uh, where you want to go or how you want to live life, that's the most freeing thing. You said passion. You talked about passion. The true meaning of passion is suffering. That's the true meaning. If you
Mm.
look up passion, it'll say suffering. Um, and it's true, right? When you have something, when you have a passion about something, you just feel this intense emotion. It's
Mm.
like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. Like, because you're just passionate about it. And
Mm.
when you're talking about a topic that you're very passionate about, it feels like you need to say something. And when you talk, you feel like you're in pain.
Right.
You're like, oh. Like, whoa, what? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just passionate about it. Yes, you are, because it's suffering. That's what
Yes.
passionate means. So when you're not doing what you're passionate about, that's
Mm,
the wrong type of suffering.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Because I
the
think
wrong type.
you're existing, aren't you? You're just
You're
existing.
just there.
You're not living.
You're
And
not
that,
alive.
mm,
Yeah.
very, very much so. Yeah, I like that. And definitely passion is, I don't know, I do sign up with love and passion, but
Yes.
it's that passion that is suffering, but then there's this birthing of, if you continue that passion, that you'll get
Yeah.
um, the result or the joy or the tears that lead to passion, because joy and doesn't have to be always smiles, it can be tearful, right?
Right. Right.
You can get really, and as Italians we get really passionate about things when we express, like the Filipinos.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and other nationalities out there, we don't want to leave you out,
We can
even
only speak about our own, right?
yeah, exactly, because
Yeah.
we've lived it and experienced it. Even though we've traveled to different parts of the world, everyone has different ways of expressing their passion, right?
Right.
So yes, okay, well, wonderful, Zanetta. So is there anything else you want to say to these people as they're listening?
No. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, this has.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone, and live your passion, live your truth, have your voice,
Yes.
unleash those shackles that we have either psychologically created, or we have taken on other people's opinions and thoughts and made them
Mm-hmm.
ours, to know that you have choice and take the responsibility to get to know yourself
Yeah.
for that freedom.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't want to go, but we have to close up now. If you're
Yes,
catching
we
this on the live, please, please hashtag live or hashtag replay. Come and join us next week. I know, Zanetta, are you going to be with us next week, or is it the week after that? Possibly, not sure. I know there's going to be some.
I believe I am.
Because I know you have a birthday coming up, so we're going to have to do the happy birthday thing next week before your
Yes.
birthday.
Yes, I'll be spending my birthday in Cancun.
I
So,
know. How
um,
exciting.
yes, with the love of my life.
Yes, how beautiful. How beautiful. Cancun. I've
Yeah.
never been to Cancun, but I'm sure it's an amazing place. Have you been before? Was this your first time?
No, first time.
First time as well. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
sure you're going to have a great time. And as we get closer next week, you'll be even more bubbly and sparkly as you get closer to your.
I'll be passionate.
Yes. You sure will. You sure will. So
Yes.
thank you once again, Zanetta. Love chatting with you. Love being with you.
Yes.
And we'll see everybody next week. And
Yes.
as always, we wish you all lots of love and
Love and
passion.
passion.
Until then, bye for now.